Ideas. Do you think you have it in you to lead the country where, South Africans, as most experts are saying, the country is on the verge of collapse?
Yeah, I definitely believe so. I think what we fail to understand is we need solutions for today driven by the people of today. People that are up to the task, people that are well versed, well equipped, well experienced, even in young age, but most importantly fit for purpose. And I think this is the trick that we've missed in our country. There have been a lot of leaders that have come up, a lot of leaders that have played their part, but that time is gone. It's a new time and it needs new soldiers, and we're here, we're good to go.
And South Africans, they've been watching you. You've been in the places where you need to be. You've gotten your hands dirty. We saw last year during the floods in KZN and KwaZulu-Natal province, and safe to say you've started your campaign?
No, I think this is something that we do on a regular basis. It's not campaigning, that's just us being helpful where we can. This is what we've done in history. This is what we've done as people in our communities and our society. Fortunately, we've had an opportunity to do it late in our lives with serious issues such as the flooding that we saw here and many others. So I think it's less of a campaign, it's more of us just putting our shoulders to the wheel, and this is what I implore everyone to do. The only way our country will work is by getting our hands dirty. I think that's the message.
Mm-hmm. And can you just explain to us, you are still a member of the ANC, but you're looking to stand for presidency in terms of independent candidate. How does it work?
So from my side, just to give you a broad stroke on this, what we need to understand is in our country, everything is highly politicized in South Africa. It's highly charged, and everything that happens boils down to whatever political party or formation that you represent, which I think is one of our biggest problems. So what I've always said, and what I'm saying today, and this is what I say to the young people I speak to, is stand up, be counted. Don't let politics or a political party or an affiliation to a grouping of any sort hold you back in making a difference in society. So whatever it is that you need to do, whatever it is that I need to do, I'm going to do it. And if that means chartering a new path, then that's exactly what I'm going to do.
And running for presidency is not an easy job. It's not a small job. It's a huge task. You need to have your backing, supporters. Financially, you need to have a lot of support. Are you confident you have that?
Yeah, definitely. If people have pushed me this far to where I am in my life, I've lived quite an interesting life. I've had my challenges, and I've had my successes as well. And I think the sum total of that brings me to where I'm at today. There are a lot of people that have shown a lot of faith and a lot of trust in myself, not just now in this point in life, but in the past as well. And I think where I'm at now, people have said, look, we need someone to step up. I've seen the need for it. I've taken a look around. I don't see anyone stepping up. And I believe there's an opportunity, not just for myself, but for many others to step up. So people they like just boiling it down to a one-man mission. This is not a one-man mission. There's no superhero who's coming to save the day. All I'm saying is I'm standing up. I'm making myself counted. I'm making my voice heard. And it would be a beautiful, beautiful picture if everyone else did it.
And when we talk about Mr. Duduzane Zuma, automatically people are going to think about your father, Mr. Jacob Zuma, who is the former president of the country. By having this ambition of going into the presidency, are you looking to move forward with his legacy, or are you doing this for yourself to have your own legacy?
No, so I'm doing this for the people that believe in me. I'm doing this for what I feel where we're at in our history as South Africa, and as Africa as a continent. So not just a South African story; it's an African story. People like believing that politics is an old man and an old woman's game, and that shouldn't be the case. We're saying no, that is not the case. Politics should be younger. Politics should include people that want to see changes and differences for the issues that they have today. So from a legacy perspective, this is not a legacy project. This is a project that's starting today. This is a movement that we're saying we want to be a part of. There are other people doing wonderful things, and where we can join those people, we definitely will. We're willing to work with anyone that's willing to work with us. So this is not something that's a continuation. There are some wonderful things that my father has done. There's some mistakes that he may have made in his past. politically or otherwise. But, that's his story to tell. I'm here to chart a new path. I'm here to tell my story, and I'm here to do things the way I see fit.
And you and I both know what the country is going through right now. We've seen strikes, protests, we've seen, time and again, citizens coming up, in large numbers saying, the country is really in turmoil. What do you think, as a new, younger person, needs to change in this country? What is that different thing are you going to bring in?
So I think our country, as much as we may face, and we have faced challenges which we have overcome before, I think our country is in the biggest opportunity that's ever existed. Otherwise, you and me wouldn't be having this conversation. So as much as we have these challenges, the opportunity for people, for young people to step up, for people to say, you know what, I believe I can make a change. That time is now. The main thing that I talk about, and that's the life that I've lived, is we need a mindset change. We need people to step up, to change the way that they engage each other, to respect the situation, to respect other people, and to understand that unless we work together, regardless of what background you're from, race, religion, tribal, whether you are a foreigner or local, we have a country to build here. The more, the merrier. And obviously within the confines of the law and the systems that we all operate in. So it's a mindset change. There's nothing else that's going to change. Young people need to stop sitting back and complaining, yet they're the ones who don't step up when it comes to making a difference, as in going to the polls to say, we're not happy with the people that represent us. We want to see people that represent us. We want to represent ourselves. So it's a mindset change. Let's get it done. Let's step up. Let's not be afraid to get involved in making a change.
Yeah, clearly looks like you're not afraid to take on this challenge. Countries with the unemployment rate at such a high, what's going on right now, the rolling blackouts, load shedding, country has a lot to deal with the energy crisis as well. But what do you have to say as a young person to the current government of the ANC, which you are a member of,
Only one thing. Thank you very much for your time and your efforts. We appreciate where you've brought us to. It's our time, and we're going to take it to the next level. That's all I have to say. There's nothing else to say.
Going back also, I just want to talk to you about, how is the former president doing, your father? How is he? How is his health?
Don't you have his number? I'm sure you got his number. No, he's doing good. He's busy doing what he needs to do. He's obviously taken some time off. It's a new phase in his life. We've seen the health issues that he's been dealing with, and we're all giving him a space to do what he needs to do. He's an 80-year-old man. He's lived a very long, successful life with a lot of challenges, and I think where he's at now, he's doing quite well. He's doing quite well.
Yeah, some very unfortunate events have taken place over the past, with where we saw former president even had to spend some time in the prison. He's been alleged of corruption, all of that. Personally, as a son, what did you go through that time? These sorts of questions are questions. I love him. He's my father. He's someone that I hold in the highest respect. He's an idol of mine. But I'm not a spokesperson, So whatever he's going through and whatever thoughts he has is something that I cannot speak on. But my response to your question, and I think it's in this case it's a fair question, I think he was unfairly treated. I think it's something that shouldn't have happened. I think it was it was unfortunate that it went the way it did. But we're sitting here today, and we move on with life. Are you not afraid people are going to compare you with former president?
That's my father, man. It'll be an honor for me to be compared to him.
Mm-hmm. In terms, I'm going quite deep into the allegations that has been happening, because the cases are still ongoing.
Sure.
So what is your message to the critics out there?
My message to the critics is I've had my challenges. So I've had cases against me. I've had allegations leveled against me. A lot of them. I've been wrongfully arrested, and that's something that we're still going to deal with, because those are responses that I'm still waiting from the authorities. Because as much as I've complied with the law, the law has treated me in a very odd manner. Mm-hmm. And we won't get into that now, because we're not here to talk about sour grapes. We're here to talk about the future. But all I can say to my critics is, I'm here. Come work with me. We have a lot of work to do. You speaking about me is not going to change the landscape of where South Africa is. I'm here playing my part. I suggest that you play yours, and let's get the job done.
I think all South Africans, also people outside, want to know, you've been through a lot as well over the past few years. Some of the cases have been closed, some are still ongoing, I presume. So what we know is that all your bank accounts were frozen at that time, 3 or 4 years back. What is the status currently of them?
The status remains the same. That would have been end of 2015. That's when the treatment, when I started getting the treatment, and that still remains the case. Unfortunate, I don't have the correct reasoning. I've been told right of admission and that sort of thing, and reputational risk. As per, I'm assuming in their case, certain allegations leveled against me in certain court cases, but I have not been found guilty of anything, and I will not be found guilty of anything. They spoke about state capture. The only capture that I'm guilty of is capturing the imagination of the state. That's as simple as it is. So what I say to people is, they can't make these allegations and can't give these opinions when I've faced the might of law. I've won court cases, and as it stands, I've taken a look around, I've checked through my legal team, there are no cases that exist. And no one is telling the story of me being clean in this case. But it is what it is, it comes with the territory. We're here today, and we're looking to move forward.
And then how are you coping financially?
My family loves me, they take care of me. And I've got great friends out there that love me too.
Yeah, you're very lucky, indeed, you're very lucky.
Yeah.
And you've been in and out of the country. So were you forced to move out of the country when your bank accounts were closed? Clearly, I'm sure you couldn't do work here, right?
Yes, that's correct. It becomes a bit difficult when you don't have financial means, and the larger concept behind what happened to me is, I went from being part of the banked society to now I form part of the majority unbanked society, which is quite interesting. I've gone full circle to getting to a point where my constitutional rights have been infringed upon. I don't say that lightly, because at the end of the day, there is no reason for me, or there are no reasons for me to find myself in this situation where I've been given this treatment with no reasoning, and we find ourselves where it's a cat and mouse game, and we don't have time for that. If I did anything wrong, let me face my punishment. I haven't done anything wrong. Let's go back to where we were, and let me live my life, and let me enjoy the same freedoms that everyone else enjoys.
So were you working in Dubai, and is there any business that you've started up?
Someone's got to pay the bills. Of course I'm working. I'll never stop working. This is what I do. I'm a businessman. And even when I was in South Africa, I've been working outside of the country, and so it's nothing new. But at that time, you're not able to pay the bills because of certain mechanisms that you need at that time, and you need to find your way around, and we found a way around.
So do you think you, being a businessman, is also going to have an upper hand as you're gunning for presidency with ideas and everything?
Most definitely. And as a matter of fact, I think that is one of the key takeaways, and that's one of our main focuses, is getting to a position where South Africa runs as a corporation. This is a country that's got an incredible amount of wealth, resource, the mind capacity, so people that are willing to work and willing to contribute. We find ourselves in a glorious position where we sit between the United Nations, G20, we're invitees at the G7, but we also enjoy the relationships in the East with BRICS. We are part of the global network of logistics as per our geographical situation. So when it comes to interest, the South African interest is on an international level is much higher than it's ever been. And we are a country that should operate as a corporation, as a business, because we have everything going for us. As I said, the less politics involved, the much higher our country will fly.
Like earlier I said, you're still an ANC member in good standing. How, South Africans, like I said, have lost trust in ANC. There's fights openly. Leaders are fighting openly. The ANC is divided to the core that we don't know whether they're going to get united again. Do you think South Africans are going to vote for change come 2024 elections?
Most definitely, and that change they're going to vote for. Part of it is definitely going to be people like myself. I'm definitely throwing myself in that mix, and to anyone out there, I hope that they stand up and they also take this this challenge up, because the more the merrier. Like I said, this is a critical mass game of people that are willing to make a change at the highest levels. You know, we're not here to play the low-level game. We're not here to play the penny-pinching game, politically speaking. We're here to play the big game. We dream big, we live big, and we do big. And that's why we are here, and we're saying we are going to get the job done. So the numbers, I think we've seen the decline in the polls for the ANC. And we've had discussions in the background. We've had, you know, overtures have been made both ways, and all we've said as a younger crop of people, business people and others, some political leaders, is if things don't change, we're going to have to make them change. Things haven't changed, so damn it, we're here to make things change.
Going back to ANC, do you have good relationship with the current ANC president, Cyril Ramaphosa, who's also the president of the country?
No, I hold him in high regards. I respect him. He's an elder. You know, I always say it's unfortunate. So the position he finds himself in, I mean, that could have been any of us. He's up against a very difficult time. It's a very challenging time in not just our domestic situation, but internationally as well. Globally, we've seen a lot of shake-ups. We've seen a lot of movements, and you know, just the rejigging and revamping of how the world stacks up. And he finds himself in a position where he's dealing with all these issues. Do I feel that he could have done better with the situation? I think any of us would say so. We all have our own ideas. And but at the end of the day, that's not someone that I see much. Like I said, I've got respect for him. He's contributed to the South African story historically, and just like everyone else of his generation, you know, farm life, go enjoy the farm, go enjoy your cattle, you know, go enjoy your family. And I say that for my own people as well, just like my father. You know, I've said, you know, he's contributed. He's had his time. He must go enjoy his farm, go enjoy his family, his grandchildren, and leave it up to us. We've got this under control.
But talking about farm, it looks like South Africans don't really enjoy when Cyril Ramaphosa goes to farm. There's a whole Farmgate Pala scandal on his head. What do you make of that? No,
that's his story to tell. He's going to have to respond to those allegations. The law will have to take its course. And if he's found wanting, he's found wanting. If he's not, then he's not. But the law has to take its course on everybody, like it's taken its course on us. You know, it's unfortunate that we see the law picking and choosing on situations that it sees fit to to act in a certain manner. You know, if everything had been fair, I think, you know, he should have gone through, spoken through the allegations, faced it and dealt with it if he really feels that he's innocent and, you know, there's nothing untoward. And if not, he still needs to respond. But this silence in between, you know, that goes for all of us, including myself. You know, there should never be this prolonged period of time where allegations, serious allegations, come to the fore and you don't deal with them head on. I mean, this was one of his founding points in his campaign, is transparency, especially when it comes to corruption. You know, it's time to talk the talk.
Yeah, like
time to walk the walk. Sorry.
It's like I was saying, not as a son, but as a South African. Do you think it was not fair the way they handled the situation between your father and now current president?
That's beyond my control. I never delve into or waste my energy in thinking how things should have been sorted out. You know, those are people that have the information in front of them. Whatever decisions they make is for them to make, beyond my control. We're here today and we take it a step at a time.
Okay, one of the main reasons why you were investigated and alleged of corruption is because you were business partners with the Gupta family. Are you in touch with them? Do you have any regrets doing business with them?
Yeah, so I'm not in touch with them. I haven't seen or spoken to them in some time now, I think over 3 years or so. And regrets, I don't live in regrets. The experience that I had within my business build up my experience as a young business person at the time and where it led me to. I definitely don't live in regrets. I was exposed to interesting opportunities locally and internationally, strategies, business tactics, and just understanding how the real side of the economy works. So I'm thankful for that journey. I'm thankful for what I've learned on that journey within the context of dealing with my business partners at the time. So no regrets, and we learned with the good, with the bad, with the pressure that came with it, unfortunately. But it is what it is. We're here today, and we are better for it.
But there's been a lot of allegations against the family, as well as former President Jacob Zuma. The Guptas went out of the country, never came back. There's some cases. Interpol was looking for them. Now, the latest is last year, Minister Lamola said they're being arrested, they're in prison. Personally, do you think that's true?
Personally, that's none of my business. I'm in Durban, great weather. I'm chartering my path in life. I'm trying to make a difference at the highest level, and that's what I'm focusing on. Going and looking at things retrospectively is just from reflecting, but dealing with the legal matters, I've had my issues. I've dealt with my issues. Any new issues that come, I'll deal with those issues. So I'm not here to ponder. I'm not here to tell any sob stories or to confirm or deny anything that I don't know about. That is something that's going to unfold as it unfolds.
So please explain to us once again. I'm just bringing you back from the initial questions I asked on, you're gunning for the presidency. You're already starting your work. How is that going to have an impact on the cases? You see all the allegations, the investigations that some have been closed, some are still open. So is that not going to have a problem?
A problem with?
I mean, in terms of the IEC, are they going to, once again, scan you?
Whatever they need to do, they must bring the X-ray machines, MRIs, CAT scans. They can scan me up and down. All the best to them. I'm going to do what I need to do. In terms of the cases, if it's I'm speaking about the cases, and I'm speaking about whatever cases that may stem from allegations. That's not my concern. Like I've said, whatever needs to be answered to, I have answered to. If there's anything else, they know where to find me. If they need me to come to their offices, I'll definitely do so, as long as they give me a free coffee. But otherwise, I'm not bothered by that. I'll continue on my journey. And like I said, I've always professed my innocence. I'll continue to do so. They've got nothing on me. They know that, and they must enjoy trying to cook stuff up.
So can we talk about your current work? What have you been busy with? What are you doing?
Yeah, so I think, once again, people think it's a new journey that we're on. It's campaigning, and we've been part of interventions, we've been part of NGO type work over a period of time. It's fortunate this time that it's coming to the fore, thankfully, in what it is that we're trying to do as a bigger picture. So we've been involved in all sorts of interventions, but I think what has come up lately has been what people like terming a cleaning campaign, and all that has done. It has given me an opportunity, and I think this gives everyone an opportunity to engage with communities. We're not just speaking pie in the sky stuff. We're not just standing on podiums and trying to sound fancy and clever and articulate for whatever issues of the day they are. We are dealing with those issues. So it's a program of action. Less talk, more action, because a lot of people are talking about how to pick rubbish up, and whilst they're saying it, we've got our rubber gloves on, our wheelbarrows and our spades, and we're doing it. And all we're saying to people is we need to stand up, and we need to make those differences in our own communities. Yes, everyone's a ratepayer and they're paying their taxes, and these are services that should be delivered to them. We understand that. But if a pile of rubbish stands outside your door and no one is coming to pick it up, eventually you're going to pick it up yourself. So let's not waste time. Let's hold those people accountable for what it is that they should be doing. But let that not affect our society, because that, besides an aesthetic, it speaks about cleanliness. It also speaks about health, the risks of health to kids within the community. So all we've been doing is saying to young people that may be sitting out there who are disenfranchised, who are disappointed with the situation, is let's start somewhere. Let's start. Let's clean up after ourselves. Let's get people moving. Let's bring these teams together, and let's start having those conversations on how these differences will be made. And I think that's basically what these campaigns have done. And what I'm excited about and what I'm proud about is there are people out there that all of a sudden have stood up and seem to be getting busy as well. Other political parties, other NGO formations, and once again, it's not something new. There are people that have done cleanups way before I was even born. But I'm saying it is more important now, more than ever, to get involved. And at the end of the day, like I said, it's not purely about politics. Everything can't always be about scoring political points. So even if there are other formations doing it, as long as the community is reaping benefit from it, it's a beautiful thing.
We've seen that you do a lot of work in Durban and KwaZulu-Natal area, so are you going to spread this to other provinces in the coming months?
Yeah, well, we've been to other places, and once again, our work seems to be kept in dark corners. You know, we have people that are not interested or do not want to highlight the work that's being done, not just by myself, but by capable young crews, young teams, young individuals around myself that I learn from, that inspire me. Unfortunately, they look at me and they just try and put me in a box. And you know, they're not going to box me in. It's not something that they can do. They don't have that formula. But unfortunately, they're taking away from the good work that other people are doing because they're focusing on me as a personality or me as someone that they may have, whatever issue that they may have. We've been to other provinces. We've been to the Eastern Cape. We'll be heading to Limpopo. We've been to Gauteng. We've been to Mpumalanga. You know, so there's places we've been to that haven't been highlighted, which is fine. But we're going to ramp up, and it's going to get a whole lot noisier. They're not ready for us.
Yes, you've been all over. Has it been difficult for you to convince people?
I'm not in the business of convincing people about doing the right thing. Like I always say, what we're doing is the right thing. We don't need permission to do the right thing. So everything that I speak about and everything that I do, I don't need to convince you. You know, and it's more, especially if I'm coming into your space, I'm coming into your community, your area of operation, and I'm doing what it is that you're supposed to be doing. I'm not here to convince you. If you don't like what I'm saying, if you're not buying into what needs to be done, that's fine. You know, like I say, I'm here. I'm not here to win people over. I'm here to work with people. So you don't have to like me. I don't have to like you. But if we're able to work together and get the job done, that's what matters. That's the only way we're going to grow this country.
You know, some of the critics, they've been saying, you know, running for presidency is not just about going, cleaning, you know, wherever you've been.
Sure.
Those are your critics.
Yeah.
They're saying they need to have knowledge about international relations, you know, with the country going through a lot. And also recently you saw the military drill that South Africa did, the Russia and China. The West was not happy. Even people, South Africans themselves, they were not happy. They're voicing. Do you think you have it in you to interact with them and just convince people that, you know, not everyone?
I've been traveling the world from a young age. The first time I jumped onto a plane in the 80s, I must have been 5 years old, and from then it hasn't stopped. So when it comes to international relations and speaking to people from different parts of the world, I mean, I was born, I always say this, I wasn't even born in South Africa, I was born in Mozambique. So my life has been international relations from birth, and it hasn't stopped. The businesses that I've run, that I've been had a privilege to be a part of, were out of South Africa as well, different parts of the world, Africa, Asia. You know, these are places where I've gotten my experience in dealing with people. I've been on many delegations. I've interacted with people at the highest levels, kings, queens, presidents, in the world over. You know, I've also interacted with people, you know, that people ordinarily would not speak to. You know, homeless people and people that may be, you know, downtrodden and cast aside by society. So whatever level that people want me to interact in, I'm able to interact in. From the highest to the lowest, middle tier. It can be in the middle of a lily white country to the middle of an African country. I've lived in India, you know, I've lived in Pakistan, you know, I've traveled the world, so I've developed very good relationships, and you know, people would definitely fall off their chairs if they know the level of relationships that we've developed that are non-political. And what makes it beautiful is once we bring it to the fore, when the time is right, and we bring all these networks together, it's going to be fireworks, it's going to be magic.
And also we have to touch upon this economy.
Oh, sorry, one more thing, and you said that the one thing people, the critics, and one thing that I don't concern myself with are people that will speak about international relationships and, you know, they sit in some lounge, you know, who never travel out of the country. If you're going to have a conversation about me about international relations, you'd better know your story. So if you haven't been out of the country and if you haven't interacted at the highest levels with people when it comes to those sorts of relationships, then don't talk to me. And it's not coming from a point of arrogance, but what people like doing is they just look at us and they just think, we just sit at home and we just grew up with a silver spoon in our mouths. No, we've been around, we've played the game at the highest levels, and we've succeeded. So the convincing game, I'm not here to convince people. That's not why I'm here to work with people.
So you say you're not going to be armchair politicians, you're going to be there for the people on the ground?
Down and dirty, these hands, you'll see it. Yeah. Whichever way we're trying to do it, we can get down. Yeah.
And, in terms of economy, now if you're looking for the highest position in the country, you'll have to deal with everything. South Africa's economy is not doing good. Economists are saying it's going to take years for South Africa to recover, even, forget about what's going on right now from the COVID period itself. So, as someone who is ambitious of becoming a president, how do you think you're going to deal with this country?
So, we have a lot of economists that will always plug in these formulas and, these great theories. Some of them are correct and some of them make sense. There's trends, there's predictions, and we're not taking anything away from them. But the activity on the ground is a different story. So if you look at the South African story when it comes to an economy, we're dealing with stats. Everything we speak to, it's stats from the Statistician General, it's stats from Oxfam. You'll see what happens in the World Economic Forum. There'll be all sorts of statistics that are thrown out. United Nations, you go to General Assembly, once again, statistics for days. You look at ratings agencies, you look at the fate that South Africa is given, and all these decisions and all these discussions are happening on camera in interviews, and they're happening in boardrooms or conference rooms. The South African problem is the people. We have a high unemployment rate because we're not creating a space for people to get absorbed into the job space. We've seen graduates that are coming up, and then they're not able to jump into the workspace because opportunities are not there. So now you have people that are saying, you know what, I'm not going to get a job if I do my time in a tertiary level institution, so why must I go? So then you find people take it even a step further back at high school level. They're like, yo, I'm not going to go to university because I'm not going to get a job, so I might as well drop out at high school level. So what we need to do is we need to be in a position to start creating opportunities for people. But that is not going to happen, and this is the point I'm trying to make, my main point why I'm getting involved why I've gotten involved in politics, is the opportunities, the platform for people to get involved and to showcase their talents and to change their lives are not going to happen unless we even the playing field out. And that playing field comes from our financial frameworks, our economic framework, our social frameworks that they definitely need to be dismantled. A lot needs to be taken a look into. We need to change a lot of rules of engagement into the playing field, the laws, acts, whatever it is that needs to happen to say, guys, these market segments need to be opened up. These economic reforms need to happen. Otherwise, it's all going to be talk shop. We'll be talking about shrinking economies. We're going to be talking about all these wonderful economic terms. But at the end of the day, what matters is when we're driving around in our cars and we take a look around and we can see people sitting at traffic lights, of all colors, of all races, of all ages, who are hungry. We're looking at people, the numbers. I'm not interested in the numbers. I'm interested in the situation on the ground. How do we dealing with what we see? And that comes from reforms. We need to change the rules, otherwise we're going to find ourselves in this position over and over again. And that's something our government unfortunately hasn't done in the close to 30 years.
And what is your opinion about Eskom with the current load shedding that we are having? Like, the world is shocked. What is South Africa going through?
The only people that are not shocked are us because we don't have electricity to get shocked.
Exactly, but what is your opinion on, should South Africa transition to cleaner energy, or should they stick to coal, which time and again they've said South Africa has coal worth 100 years, yes, another 100 years.
Yes.
So what is your opinion?
My opinion is this. South Africa, so let me start with the load shedding issue. We should not be in an energy deficit situation. As we all know, it's well known and well documented that we always had a surplus of energy and we supplied neighboring states in the SADC region. And how did we get to this point? And I think our biggest failure as South Africans, and we also can't just keep blaming government in every turn. We need to take responsibility as our society is. And if you look at the decisions that have been made, the first one is taking some of our power stations offline. You know, power stations that we're producing. Yes, we've got an aged fleet and an aging fleet, 45, 50 years plus. Yes, we've got some new capacity that's been built, but we've seen some issues technically and, just from a budgeting perspective. But if we look at before the new builds, what is it that we could have done? Right. We have power stations that have not been maintained as well as they should be. So routine maintenance in South Africa is one of our biggest problems, whether it's electricity, stormwater drainage, roads, infrastructure that exists along our beachfronts, schools, some universities. It's just routine maintenance. We're not doing that, and that's one of our biggest problems. And I think Eskom, this is one of the biggest challenges they have. Secondly, you have a leadership issue at political level. Everyone is fighting to do different things. One person wants to do this, the other political party doesn't want to do that.
It's a blame game again.
It's a blame game again, and it's different strategies that are not meeting at one point, and this is another problem we have. And then thirdly, you have a leadership issue at Eskom. Now, you need the most experienced, most capable engineers running Eskom, and no disrespect to anybody, but if you look at Eskom as a power utility, I think it's right now it's being run by auditors and accountants and lawyers. You need engineers running Eskom. So the best of breed engineers, wherever they're from, and more especially from within the South African space. There are a lot of bright minds, there's a lot of history, there's a lot of institutional memory when it comes to running Eskom. Let's get those people back on board. Let's stop politicizing it. Because this person was seen to be attached to one person, you get rid of him, but you're getting rid of a critical skill. So when it comes to Eskom, unless the political leadership is talking to the utility leadership and agreeing on strategies, that's a big problem. And then finally, they speak about corruption and sabotage. There's no secret that there's strange things happening in our power stations. So as well, from a labor force perspective and the workers, people need to have promise and growing within those structures. But at the same time, they also need to understand that whatever is being done is to the detriment of the country, not to the detriment of individuals or formations, political or otherwise. And then when it comes to renewables, of course, this is something that we should explore. But once again, South Africa is blessed with coal. We should never forget that. And in abundance. And we look at what's happening. There's discussions of a national shutdown, which I think is the biggest joke. We should never be shutting down in this country. As a matter of fact, a lot of these protests that we're having shouldn't be happening, because these protests are actually not helping. They're taking us back. We've seen protests happening out in our country for various reasons. Do they bring light to the issues? Of course they bring light, but do they bring a change in results? Definitely not. So how do we harness that energy and how do we change that? So now if you are trying to shut down the country nationally, that's not going to help anybody, especially the people protesting, because you'll find the very same people protesting are the ones that are going to be affected or most affected by those protests further down the line. It's going to hit their pockets, it's going to hit their mindset, and it's going to hit just the general societal hegemony. It's going to implode, because now you're protesting on empty stomachs, you're protesting on empty promises, and where does that lead us? It leads us to an untenable position. So the national shutdown that's planned for the 20th, people are playing politics and they're giving certain messaging out. And that coal that's going out is export quality coal. There's a reason why it's called export quality, and majority of it, if not all of it, is not the coal qualities that are used as per the CV and everything else that comes with those technicalities in our power stations. And that's a massive contributor to our GDP that keeps our towns and cities running that are based on coal mining. And we can never forget that, because that comes with people. It's not just a coal mine running, it's engineers, it's lawyers running those, it's auditors, then you have truck drivers, you have people maintaining those trucks, you got insurance companies, so there's a whole ecosystem that runs around the coal mining industry in these towns. But the renewable perspective, we have wind, we have solar, which are great. Will it run when it comes to, or will it be effective, my apologies, when it comes to domestic use and small business? Yes, it could be, but is it something that our industry can run in? Our industry can run on? Definitely not. not, when the sun stops shining, no solar. When the wind stops blowing, well, no secret that there's no energy being generated. So coal, for now and for the foreseeable future, is relevant in our country, and is something that can never be turned off. We understand there's net zero 2030. We understand that there's discussions of emissions, but let us sort out our South African issues first. Let's perfect our energy grid. Let's perfect our energy sources. Then we can talk about, edging out into renewables. But for now, definitely not the right time.
Yeah, I'd like to wrap up, but before closing, I just wanted to ask you once again. We mentioned from the beginning itself, you're young, you're gunning for presidency, you do have your supporters, you're confident you'll get the numbers come 2020.
The numbers are there. Don't you see them? They're scared. Yeah. These people are afraid of what's coming, and they should be. Why? Because the people that should be taking up their rightful place are coming. Simple as that. I'll even say this: with or without me, they're coming. All I'm saying is I'm honored and I'm privileged to be part of this next move. So the numbers is no doubt. They know it.
Are you getting good advice from people around you? Your father, who was a great president as well.
So when I entered my business career, I approached him as an elder and I said, look, this is what I want to do. And he's always said, you do what you want to do, kid. And that's exactly what I did. With the political career, did the same thing. I approached him and he said, you do what you want to do, kid. And the rest will be history.
Yeah, the Zuma family, no matter what you all went through, the allegations, the corruptions, the imprisonment, you all have been a solid, a unit. Your sister, we've never seen her, she's always comes out guns blazing to support the father. How do you all keep it intact with so much negativity around?
Look, at the end of the day, we believe in ourselves, we believe in each other. Like I said, there are a lot of people that we've interacted with that we believe in as much as they believe in us. We live one life and we give it our all. We're not here to play games, and we're also not here to be played with. And from my side, it's an opportunity, and this is what I always say to young people. As much as the criticism will come, because it will come, and why a lot of people are not raising their hands is because they're afraid. Don't be scared. We've seen people that raise their hands, and the next thing, there's allegations, there's all sorts of things that come out, information, true or false, but people are afraid of those criticisms. Is it a nice thing? Of course it's not a nice thing. It's not nice to be insulted. But what I'm saying is there's a bigger picture, there's an end goal, there's a promised land. Everyone needs to be part of playing their part in getting to that promised land. And that's going to come with negativity, that's going to come with insults, it's going to come with criticisms. But you've got to be built tough. You've got to have that thick skin. And fortunately, the experiences that some of us have gone through have created, mental strength, physical strength, and just general strength to ward off any sorts of detractors and negative energy.
Thank you so much for speaking to us, Mr. Duduzane, and all the best.
Ma'am,
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your time, and to your viewers and subscribers at WION.